Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain. Now, this story may have been somewhat overshadowed this week by the duplicitous duo's disgusting disaster tourism, but it really must be talked about. I've got Lady Colin Campbell with me. She has been completely responsible for exploding this story into the public's consciousness, and finally the MSM is starting to catch up. But before we get her verdict, let me take you through the story broken by Radar Online. And I have to give credit for Radar Online here. They are being brave, because remember, the mainstream media all know about this. They just have decided not to talk about it. So Radar Online writes, Prince Harry and his clout-chasing wife Meghan Markle are being rocked by a surrogacy scandal, said sources, who added the diva's very own dad is casting doubt on the birth of the couple's son, Archie. Now, of course, that is as a result of the interview that Samantha Markle gave here on Outspoken, revealing Thomas Markle's true feelings about this. But Radar Online says that Buckingham Palace is being pressured to remove Prince Archie and Princess Elizabeth from the UK's royal line of succession until the Duchess provides absolute proof that she popped out both babies herself, Radar Online can reveal. Now, here's where it gets very significant, because a high-level palace courtier is quoted by Radar Online. Now, I want to read this out to you because it really is significant. So this high-level palace courtier tells Radar Online, this scandal comes as no surprise. Speculation about the children has been simmering for years. The kids are 6th and 7th in line to the throne, but have been under cloak and dagger secrecy since they were born. There are so many questions swirling around them. This crisis won't die down until the irrefutable truth comes out. Wow. Lady Colin Campbell, look, I know this is only Radar Online at this point, and Radar Online have been very brave when it comes to reporting the truth about Prince Harry and Meghan in the mainstream media sphere. But this, to me, still feels significant. It still feels like a real push forward, because, of course, for some time, you were the only person talking about the surrogacy scandal at all. I need you to do something for me right now. It is free, it is easy, it is simple. Just hit that subscribe button on YouTube. That's because over 50% of you watching this video haven't done that yet.
Dan, are you trying to put me in the line of fire, or are you praising me? I'm not sure whether this is...
You're off to the tower, Lady C. You're off to the tower. Well, look, Radar Online, in fairness, they do quote you and say royal author Lady Colin Campbell recently challenged the conspiracy of silence and misinformation surrounding both tots.
Well, yes. I mean, Dan, you and I have spoken about this privately, so you know my sentiments on the matter. And also, I have been in touch over the years as a result of the public coming to me about this. Behind the scenes, and I need to be very careful how I put this and what I say, because I don't want to breach any protocols, let's put it that way. But I mean, this has been simmering behind the scenes for some time, and my own sentiment is very simple. The royal family owes it to the public of each and every country of which the king is monarch, to clear up any doubts about anybody in the line of succession. Meghan's conduct is what has triggered all of this. Oh, Archie doing a deep dive between the knees, Archie competing with Tom Daley before he was even given birth to. Archie's unique qualities. And we need to remember that Archie was truly unique because his first word was crocodile. And Archie, of course, was the product of a union that maritally started when they were roasting chicken. And I leave it at that. But what I will go back to say in terms without giving too much levity to their Harry and Meghan's really crazed behavior. And I do not, oh, yes, isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that bump had more air in it than the fantasies that Meghan and Harry go around divesting themselves of in their 16 bathrooms. The fact of the matter is, from 1688 to the present, all royal births have been incontrovertibly correct. James II lost his throne as a result of the false rumours, incidentally, about the birth of his son and heir, James, Prince of Wales, who became James III, the king across the water. Ever since then, until 1936, all royal births had to be witnessed by the Home Secretary. After Princess Alexandra's birth, it was decided that the custom did not need to be continued because all royal births were still being witnessed by people who were incontrovertibly relied upon, and reputable. This did not happen with Archie or Lilibet's birth. The two births are shrouded in secrecy. The royal family has a duty to, actually the monarch has a duty. It's not the royal family. It's the monarch has a duty to ensure that there is no doubt as to the entitlement of each person who is closely in the line of succession and would therefore stand a possibility, no matter how remote, of acceding to the throne. It doesn't matter if you're the 57th in line to the throne, but it certainly does if you're the 5th, 6th, or 7th in line to the throne. And this is all very simply cleared up, as I have made the point privately, officially behind the scenes. Simply provide irrefutable proof from the obstetricians, the way every other royal birth's proof has been provided to the public, that those children were born of Meghan's body and they were conceived of her body as well. Because until the law changes, if she used someone else's egg, even if she then housed it in her own body, those children are not entitled to be in the line of succession. They are too closely in the line of succession for this to continue. And this has been an issue behind the scenes for years now. When I wrote my first book, Meghan and Harry, The Real Story, in 2019 into 2020, I actually didn't believe what I was being told. A friend of mine was at Birkenhead on the 14th of January when Archie did his deep dive between Meghan's knees. And I thought, oh, this is crazy. This is lunatic stuff. And then I began to think, well, it's when I heard the internet was on about it. I thought, oh, they're all a load of crazies. But I'm afraid they're not a load of crazies. They were onto something long before all of us were. Now, I am not saying, and I need to say this for legal reasons, that Meghan faked the birth and the pregnancy of those two children. What I am saying is, and I say this as a Jamaican and as a Briton, because the king is twice my king. So the line of succession is twice my line of succession, as it is with you. But it's not with everybody. But the fact of the matter is, so I'm doubly entitled to make this demand, that the proof be provided as it has been with every other royal birth, and clear up the rumours. The existence of the rumours do a great deal of damage to the respect that people have for the royal family and for the monarchy. And there is no excuse to think that this should be allowed to continue and that it should go away. This is not about never explain, never complain. By law, until 1936, every royal birth had to be witnessed by the Home Secretary. Since then, every birth has supposed to be witnessed validly by reputable practitioners. This and not only are those reputable practitioners the witnesses to the birth, they then sign off on the birth. It's happened with every royal baby, including Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie's babies. It's not happened with either Archie or Lily, and it needs to happen. They need to prove that those children are entitled to be in the line of succession. Meghan and Harry are not entitled to privacy in this matter, and their privacy is trumped by our right to know that no bastard is going to sit on the throne of this country. And the bastard term, by the way, is a legal term. So I'm using the term in the true legal meaning of it. And it's as simple as that. They need to clear up, and it's very simple. If those children were not born of surrogates, they can make an announcement and the whole issue is put to bed once and for all. And if they fail to make that announcement, it means that something has happened that should not have happened, and they need to clear it up sooner rather than later. And if they don't, they are derelict in their duty. They being Harry and Meghan. They are derelict to their family. They are derelict to the nations of which those children are in the line of succession. And they are derelict to those children themselves, because Harry complains about the fact that his paternity has been questioned. But Harry is perfectly happy for his children's maternity to be questioned. This is outrageous, irresponsible conduct. And I can only think that the only reason why they are allowed to get away with it is that people know or consider them to be drug-addled and therefore not responsible for their actions. But the fact of the matter is the royal family is responsible to us, the British people, and the people of all the other realms of which the king is head of state and of which those children are in the line of succession to. It's as simple as that.
I want to just go back to, I mean, beautifully put, by the way, incredibly put. Could listen to you all day, but I just want to go back to the Radar Online report in regards to this, because they bring up a point which, again, we have discussed before, but I think this is now very important now that it's coming into the mainstream media. And it's about the fact that in Spare, Prince Harry crowed, "Within 2 hours of our son being born, we were back at Frogmore." And now I'm going to quote the courtier, and this is why this story is so significant, because it's a courtier speaking directly to Radar Online, who tells the publication that raised many eyebrows and questions. How many women give birth and are home in 2 hours? That didn't make sense unless Meghan didn't deliver the child herself. Now, I know obviously we've spoken in lots of detail, and remember, I reported it at the time and posed a whole load of questions about the mystery surrounding the birth. But the fact is, Lady C, this is elevated because this is a courtier raising those questions now in the American mainstream media.
Well, it suggests one of two things. Either Radar Online has made it up, which I'm not accusing them of doing, or the palace realizes that the time has come for the rumors to be put to bed one way or the other. And it is, this whole thing is an extremely serious matter. But what to me makes it truly offensive is the way Meghan has gone about flaunting this from the word go. Because if it was not a surrogate birth, the baby bump behaved in such an unconventional manner that she was orchestrating drama, which there was no need to do. And you then have to ask the question, why was she doing this? I need to be careful what I say publicly, but my own feeling is until Meghan and Harry are able, actually not Meghan and Harry, until Buckingham Palace is able to provide us with the proof that those two children were born of Meghan's body and were her egg, they, I think, should be excluded from the line of succession. And it's really very simple.
Just the two children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet.
Well, who else would be excluded?
Obviously, there are also questions about whether Harry should remain on the line of succession.
Well, Harry is legitimate. I know that to be a fact. Harry is definitely King Charles's son. And Harry there.
But what about if he's propagated this sort of lie? That doesn't matter when it comes to the line of succession.
At that point, if he has been collusive, he should be removed from the line of succession. And if he doesn't do it voluntarily, it should be done by Parliament. Because it would have to be done by Parliament.
It would have to be, wouldn't it? It would have to be, and King Charles would have to make that request. Now, look, in this Radar Online bombshell, Lady C, a royal insider also brings you into the equation. They're quoted as saying, Meghan must be furious. I can imagine her reaction, venting her anger and frustration over Lady C, threatening to sue and blaming Harry for not doing enough to protect their privacy. This scandal will stretch their marriage to the limit. It's already hanging by a thread. However, the courtier confided, Lady C is determined to get the truth. Meghan's nightmare isn't going away until she comes clean. So can I just clarify, Lady C, have you had any threats at all of legal action from the Sussexes at this point?
Not a word, but it is my belief that the phony GoFundMe, the phony GoFundMe account that was used, GoFundMe set it up. So somebody in GoFundMe was reached by someone, because these things don't happen out of nowhere, and set up a fake account in my name using my details, begging for donations to be handed to my bank account in Meghan's father's name, after I had closed down my account. And then Martin Robinson, who is the chief online reporter for the Mail, immediately found out about this. As soon as it happened, he found out about it. Before I knew about it, he found out about it and got in touch with my agent, David Samuel of ASM Talent, and wanted to speak to me about it. And that was the first time I knew that this account had been set up. I'm not stupid. I do not for 1 second believe that somebody at GoFundMe inadvertently set up that account. It's not possible to inadvertently set up a fake account. And I think that that was an attempt by Harry and Meghan, or Meghan on her own, or somebody that closely affiliated with them, if it wasn't them themselves, that in my opinion, this was a way to discredit me, because I had been receiving questions about the account, and that there were plans afoot to discredit me. And I thought, this is ludicrous. Who can discredit me? I have no skeletons in my closet. Nobody can discredit me. And I actually said it on television. When I was asked about it, I said, well, they can invent whatever they want. The fact of the matter is, nobody can discredit me because I have no secrets. I have no skeletons. So then within 2 or so weeks, they come up with this phony account. And I am being asked if I have siphoned off money into my pocket from the Thomas Markle appeal. I mean, the whole thing was so cack-handed, but it was typical of the Sussex squad and, quite frankly, the Sussexes' behavior, because they come up with cack-handed schemes. So I'm not saying that they personally did it, but my belief is that one or both of them, and I think it would have been her, would have been strongly motivated to try to silence me. But it hasn't worked. And the reason why it didn't work was that Martin Robinson was very correct. And he tried to corroborate the story. And so I was tipped off, Dan, in much the same way that Harry and Meghan were tipped off when you had to corroborate your son's story about Brexit. And that, just as how that tipped them off, and they then went hurtling down another avenue, I immediately was alerted to what was going on. So I have no doubt that if they could sue me, they would sue me. When they can't sue me, and if they try to sue me, I would see it through and see them in a court of law. I would love to get Meghan Markle and Harry in a witness box. I would love it. And remember, I'm very experienced. Meghan thinks that because she played a paralegal who couldn't pass her law exams, that she's a legal expert. I have 50 years of litigation against all 5 major newspaper companies in this country, as well as a litigant in person, the largest award ever awarded to a litigant in person against an insurance company, to my credit. I would love to see them in a court of law. So if they want to sue me, go right ahead, because I invite it, because I wouldn't be letting them get away with it. And I am not going to allow them to. I think their behavior is scandalous. And I'm sorry, I've had so many drug-addled people in my life. And my opinion is that Harry's demeanor, and Meghan's, incidentally, is of his admissions, their behavior is heavily influenced by drugs. And they don't like it. Sue themselves, because they're the ones whose conduct is at, and they are the ones he's the one who's admitted he's drug-addled, and she is the one who, in Jamaica, when she was having her marriage with Trevor, she is the one who broke the law in Jamaica, even though it was strictly against the law, and distributed ganja reefers to everybody at her wedding. So I think
Bring it on.
Dealing with drug-addled people. That's my take on it.
But indeed,
because
bring it on. Give me
What?
the popcorn. Come on, Harry and Meghan, bring it on. Let's take this to court. I couldn't agree more. Lady C, just before you go, I do want to ask you about this Instagram post that Meghan Markle made in tribute to her dog Guy. Now, of course, we're both animal lovers, Lady C, so we know that it is an absolute tragedy when you lose an animal like this. The issue with Meghan, though, is that her other animals she just discarded when she moved to the UK and then moved from Canada to Los Angeles. So that was very odd to me, number one. But lots of question marks about the timeline in terms of Guy. When did he die? Was she being honest about his injuries in her post? What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, Dan, I don't know if you've ever read Professor Marion Stout's book, The Sociopath Next Door.
No, I haven't.
She was I think she was a Harvard professor. Very good book. And she makes the point that one thing sociopaths will do is they'll have pets and they'll enact loving the pet. And as soon as it is inconvenient, they discard the pet. So, I mean, Meghan discarded one of her dogs, evidently on the basis of the fact that he was too old to travel, except he wasn't too old to travel. I mean, I've traveled with dogs that were far older than that. So that right there is a red flag.
For years, discussions surrounding Meghan Markle's pregnancies largely remained confined to social media, blogs, and opinion channels. Now, however, a report from Radar Online has brought the issue into wider public discussion by claiming there is increasing pressure for greater transparency regarding the royal succession. Importantly, these are claims reported by media outlets and commentators, not verified statements of fact from Buckingham Palace. What makes this development significant is less the allegations themselves and more the fact that larger publications are now willing to discuss a topic that was previously considered untouchable. That shift alone has generated enormous public interest. Unlike many celebrity rumors, supporters of greater transparency argue that this issue isn't simply about curiosity. Their argument centers on constitutional tradition. Because Archie and Lilibet are included in the line of succession, some commentators believe there should be complete clarity regarding all legal requirements connected to succession. Others strongly disagree, arguing that royal children are still entitled to privacy and that personal medical information should remain confidential. This disagreement is exactly why the conversation continues to grow. As with many stories involving the royal family, the biggest development isn't necessarily the claims themselves. It's the fact that major media outlets are increasingly willing to discuss subjects that were previously ignored. Until any official evidence or verified statements emerge, much of this conversation remains based on speculation, commentary, and conflicting interpretations rather than confirmed fact. For now, the debate continues, and it's likely to remain one of the most closely watched royal stories in the months ahead. What do you think? Should Buckingham Palace or the Sussexes issue a public statement to address ongoing speculation, or is this a private family matter that doesn't require any response? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest royal news and analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.